discovered a new Roman road. Now, before you start accusing me of losing my mind or bullshitting, it wouldn't be the first time I've been accused of it, I'd like to lay out the evidence before you. There are basically three ways that you can identify a Roman road. One, typology, things in the landscape, topography and typology. Things in the landscape that are dead straight, that have an agger and two ditches either side, that go between places that are of interest to the imperial army in Roman times. You can pretty much say that's a Roman road. There's field archaeology, there's digging things and then seeing strata of stones, flagstones on hardcore, on sand, with two ditches. You've got a Roman road. There's also the evidence that is contained within early medieval documents, which is sort of my area. And we are here in Bremhill in Wiltshire, which had a Saxon charter that was wrongly solved by Grundy, who I am a massive fan of. He got it wrong. So I use Grundy like a lot of people who are interested in ancient landscapes to look through the eyes of the Anglo-Saxons how they saw the landscape. And they often, when they were boasting to their friends where their land was, they often pointed out, look at that castor over there, which is a Roman villa, or that Strata, which means Roman road. Now in the Bremhill Saxon Charter, we have, it's written in Latin with Old English place names in it. We have the word stratum and strata, which mean, if you put it through Google, it comes out as pavement. It means Roman road. But whereabouts is it within the parish? Now, Grundy got it wrong. When describing the boundaries of Bremhill, he missed out Bremhill village, which is just, it's just unexplainable why he did that. But if you include, so this is my evidence, right? If you look at the current parish boundary and the parish boundary in the 19th century, which you can see on the National Library of Scotland, they have it all online, the old 19th century maps. You can see that the boundary today runs down the River Carriage down to the Marden, and then currently it goes south, but in the 19th century it headed north along a hedgerow, a completely straight hedgerow along the landscape, and then headed off to a little stream which we know today as Cat Bourne. Right? What the Anglo-Saxon Charter says is go down Rockencombe, which today is well, it could be called, it was called Widdicombe, it's now become Whitcombe several hundred years later. But that combe joins up with another combe, a dean, which is today called, which holds the River Marden today. 1,000 years ago that was called the Merkendine, the Merkendine. How do we know that? Well, the English Place Name Society, when talking about another Marden in Wiltshire, not here, nothing to do with this river, it says is that if you go back 1,000 years of sound change, you come to Merkendine, Merkendine. Now, if we transpose that over here, turn Marden back to Merkendine, we have a location on that Saxon Charter. We have that position, and that Whitcombe comes down to the Marden, the Merkendine, comes along. The Charter says go along it, so you do. Then it says come to the Strata, the Stratum. Now, what happens in the 19th century village boundary It heads north-eastish in a straight line along this hedge, and then heads left to Cat Bourne, which is called in the English charter the Cat Bourne. Now, what probably confused poor old Grundy was there are 3 cat brooks in this parish, and he got it wrong. He didn't identify the Marden as the Mercadina, and because of this he went wildly wrong. Now, the Saxon chart is still accurate. If you carry it, it says carry along the Cat Bourne until you come to the Avon, the Awerne on the and Awerne is definitely the Avon, and then which it does, and the boundary does in the 19th century. So what I'm saying is, the argument I'm making is, we have typology, we have a dead straight thing across the land. I'm not able to get close to it to see whether or not there is an agger or fosses or ditches either side. It's just literally one field away from me, but I'm on a public footpath. I may try and get hold of the landlord and see whether I can have a footle. But it's we've had a dead straight hedge, and Marjorie identified several dead straight hedges as Roman roads, even though he does get it wrong sometimes. We have typology. We don't have field archaeology. We don't know, not that I know of. I've checked the Heritage Environmental Record. There's no marks on that map along the route of that hedge. But we also have documentary evidence that hedge is what the 19th century village boundary goes down. It is described completely by the Saxon charter of Bremhill as taking those directions, and we have the confirmation of those English place names of Mercadina and Cat Bourne and Awerne. We know where all of those places are precisely, and they precisely correspond to the 19th century parish boundary. So I think I've discovered something new. It's probably the 3rd time in 300 videos I've done this. I'm going to be writing it up for I'll send it to the the county archaeologists, see what they say. I may even go to one of the local archaeological magazines. And then, but I've done 2 things here. I believe I found, I'm 90% sure and I hope I've convinced you that I'm right. I'm 90% sure I found a new Roman road, and I've solved properly the charter, the Saxon charter, its landmarks, its ancient Dark Age landmarks, when Grundy screwed it up.